Welcome, fantasy footballers. Week 2 now in the books. We will start this week with Players of the Week. Quarterback Kyler Murray, owned by Christian Mingle, having the game that we would hope he would have after recovering from injury, had a whopping 30.54 points against the LA Rams, which was very unexpected. However, he played very well. Running back Alvin Kamara, owned by Dirge 8U2 and his rebranded team, Leroy Jenkins Bickerstaff, scoring a huge 47 points, 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 in the air versus Dallas, which was a shocker. Wide receiver of the week would be Marvin Harrison, owned by Cecil the Diesel, scoring the 31 points and proving that he may be the player that his ADP said he was versus the Rams. Tight end George Kittle, also owned by Cecil the Diesel, scoring 17.10 points versus Minnesota. Kicker of the week is Fairbairn, owned by Bernie's Boozers, scoring 20 points versus Chicago in a battle of the field goals. Pittsburgh, defense of the week, owned by Incognito, scoring 13 points versus Denver. Benchwarmers of the week. QB, Baker Mayfield, owned by Hide and Zeke, scoring 21.8 points versus Detroit on the bench. Running back, Devin Singletary, owned by Bernie's Boozers, scoring 14 points versus Washington on the bench. Wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, owned by Incognito, scoring 25.7 points versus Washington. However, this did not hurt Incognito this week. Tight end, Brock Bowers, owned by Deshaunable Discharge, scoring 14.3 points versus Baltimore. Houston, defense of the week on the bench, owned by Leroy Jenkins Bickerstaff, scoring 15 points versus Chicago. Also did not hurt Leroy Jenkins Bickerstaff. League awards, most efficient manager of the week would be Cecil the Diesel, scoring 113.14. He was predicted for 115.54, so he was within a point and a half. Very good job, Cecil. Least efficient manager was last week's high scorer of the week, Warriors, scoring 86.16 when he was actually predicted for 114.64, having a little bit of a rough week, looking to rebound in week 3. Highest points in a loss, poor Coda Dog, going to 0-2 with scoring 110.20 points. Happened to be the victim of Leroy Jenkins Bickerstaff, who scored 154.72. Team Fubard, not Fubard this week, won with the lowest points in a win, 105.82 versus Deshaunable Discharge, who scored a disappointing 81.66 points. Biggest blowout, Incognito, 139.98 versus Warriors, who scored 86.16, and narrow victory. Cecil the Diesel scoring 113.14 versus self-proclaimed best team of the league, Bernie's Boozers, that scored 103.72 and now goes to 0-2. Overachiever, Leroy Jenkins Bickerstaff, taking the high score of the season at 154.72, looking to pick up that $50 bonus. Starting projection was 113.82. Excellent job, Leroy Jenkins Bickerstaff. Underachiever of the week, Zazman, with a disappointing 73.30 when he was projected for 100.80. Now let's look at wins and losses for the week. Hauling in the Brown Puka with a disappointing loss to Christian Mingle after suffering a big injury to Joe Mixon, who we hoping will return soon, losing 93.92 to 118.04. On the back of Kyler Murray, who scored the 30.54 points as a quarterback. Great job for Kyler Murray. Leroy Jenkins Bickerstaff, new points leader, defeating 0 and 2 Hell's Bells 154.72 to 110.20. Incognito 139.98, who goes to 2 and 0, defeating last week's high score Warriors 139.98 to 86.16. Hide and Zeke getting his first victory of the year, defeating 0 and 2 Zazman 111.56 to 73.30. Team Fubar was not Fubarred this week as he made it to 1 and 1 for the season by defeating Dishonorable Discharge, who is also at 1 and 1 at this time, 105.82 to 81.66. Self-proclaimed best team in the league, Bernie's Boozers, taking a disappointing loss and is now 0-2 to Cecil the Diesel, who picks up his first win of the season, 103.72 to 113.14. Taking a look at the new rankings, moving up one position into first place, Leroy Jenkins Bickerstaff, now 2 and 0. Moving up one place into second is Incognito. Third place at 2 and 0 as well, a Christian Mingle. Moving down 3 positions from first to fourth is Warriors, now 1 and 1. Moving up 4 spots to fifth place, now 1 and 1, Cecil the Diesel. Moving down 1 spot into sixth and just at the cut for the playoffs, Hauling in the Brown Puka. Moving up 3 positions to seventh, now 1 and 1, Hide and Zeke. Moving down 4 positions to 8, Dishonorable Discharge, who is now 1 and 1. Team Fubar moving up 3 positions to 9th place, now 1 and 1. In 10th place, moving down 2 spots, now 0 and 2, the self-proclaimed best team in the league, Bernie's Boozers. In 11th place and stagnant, Hell's Bells, also 0 and 2, and moving down 5 positions to 12th place, Team Zazman, now 0 and 2. Looking forward to next week's matchups, Hauling in the Brown Puka versus Cecil the Diesel, both trying to get to 2 and 1. Leroy Jenkins Bickerstaff, the first place man, is also playing the third place 2 and 0 man, Christian Mingle. Hell's Bells and Bernie's Boozers looking to get their first win on the board next week. One of them will be 1 and 2. One of them will be 0 and 3. Incognito 2 and 0, looking to get to 3 and 0 versus 1 and 1 Dishonorable Discharge. Hide and Zeke 1 and 1 going against 1 and 1 Warriors, looking to get to 2 and 1 there. Team Zazman 0 and 2, looking to get his first win versus Team Fubar at 1 and 1. Good luck in week 3, and we will see you next week.